What is up, Ivy Leaguers? Listen, we got a banger of a video for you today. US Open time. Listen, US Open started today, all right? So we have got to discuss, all right? Because the US Open, and obviously I'm talking about the golf US Open, all right? The US Open is one of those tournaments where it's just magnificent all around. Everything about it is magnificent. And it's typically played at the hardest golf courses in the world, or at least in the United States. And this year, it's certainly at a hard one, okay? Shinnecock. All right, we are at Shinnecock this week, okay? Last year was Oakmont. Oakmont is widely regarded as the hardest course in America. Shinnecock might be regarded as the second hardest course in America. It is extremely difficult, and this week it is supposed to be extremely windy. I've heard reports of wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour, which is makes any golf course hard. All right, that will make even your local municipal golf course the hardest golf course ever, and it certainly makes Shinnecock a extremely difficult golf course. Okay, but let's talk about some headlines. All right, because there are a ton of headlines going into this U.S. Open. All right. First headline we got to talk about is obviously Scotty Scheffler's ultimate goal. Okay, the world number one Scotty Scheffler enters this week with one goal, and that is to complete the career Grand Slam. Okay, this is kind of his Rory McIlroy Masters moment 2 years ago, except for the fact that Scotty Scheffler hasn't been chasing this as long as McIlroy. This is Scheffler's moment, though. Okay, this is what Scheffler needs to become one of the exclusive golfers in the world. He would join a club of what? I think is it 8 guys? He might be the eighth or ninth guy to ever complete the career Grand Slam. That is a historic list, okay? And obviously, most recently, Rory McIlroy completing the career Grand Slam. It's such an emotional moment to watch, and it's something that I think golfers, just not even golfers, sports fans can really relate to. Just seeing this guy up there completing everything he's ever dreamed of, because that is, once you get the career Grand Slam, that is the pinnacle of your career. That means you have won all four major tournaments, and that means you are henceforth above 98, probably 99.9% of golfers that have ever played in the PGA Tour. So that is something that obviously Scotty Scheffler is chasing this week. And Shinnecock gives him a very good opportunity to, but I will say, I mean, if he is even a little off his game, it will make this very difficult. And that's for anyone. But Shinnecock is one of those courses you have to stay in the fairway. Okay, the rough there is just, it's brutal. I mean, I've been looking at all the videos, all the reports. It is difficult. It's thick, thick rough, and you cannot be in it, or else you will be in a lot of trouble. Okay, so that's the first big headline is Scheffler career Grand Slam, and we're going to talk more about that, of course. Here's kind of the major form guide so far. We've had two majors so far. Obviously, the Masters, and the champion of the Masters was Rory McIlroy, winning his back to back. Okay, so he's won two Masters in a row now. And then the PGA Championship, and that was won by an Aaron Rai, and he kind of was a dark horse, came out of nowhere to win the PGA Championship, and who knows, maybe he'll make another run at it. But obviously, McIlroy and Aaron Rai are looking to secure their second major wins of 2026. Rai's not as much on the big leaderboard. Who knows? He might be able to make a run for it. But McIlroy is definitely one of the favorites going into this week. Okay? And Shinnecock is one of those courses. It's very historic, but it could be a historic weekend for a Brooks Koepka. Okay? Brooks Koepka won at the U.S. Open when it was at Shinnecock last time in 2018, and he finished one over par for the tournament. And he was the only player, sorry, there was no players under par for the week. He was one over with a win, and that was back in 2018. And I don't know the conditions back in 2018, but the conditions might be worse this year. So we'll see if anyone finishes under par this year. I kind of doubt it because it is just one of those courses that is so brutal. All right, and now the dark horse to watch, okay? And we're going to get to betting odds and all that stuff But my dark horse that you really want to watch out for, and I'm going to tell you why, is Patrick Reed. And I hate Patrick Reed. I'm sorry. Maybe hate's a strong word. I really don't like Patrick Reed, okay, because he cheated back in the day or whatever, and he just doesn't seem like a very nice guy. But he's the dark horse that you have to watch for this tournament because Patrick Reed he finished fourth at Shinnecock back in 2018. That's not all I'm betting on, okay? Since then, he has logged back to back top 12 major finishes this year, okay? So he was top 12 in the Masters and top 12 in the PGA Championship. And he has just been honing his craft and he's really been practicing secretly. I've heard some big time reports. He has been at Shinnecock for the past month, if not more, practicing secretly, trying to get an edge on the field. So I would watch out for Patrick Reed, okay? He has an opportunity here to do something very special, okay? Again, I don't love the guy, but I love him this weekend. I think he's a good take. So if you're a betting man, maybe put some money on Patrick Reed. Obviously, it's a complicated heritage here at Shinnecock Hills. It's actually built on an ancient burial ground of the Shinnecock Nation, whose members actually helped build the golf course in the 1890s. So it's a very historic golf course. A lot of heritage here at Shinnecock. So I'm really excited to see it. The leader, or not the leaders, the players just teed off actually. So obviously we'll have to get to watching. Although there was a ton of fog this morning, so there was at least a 30-minute delay on teeing off. So a lot of craziness already at Shinnecock. I wanted to talk about this before we get into all the odds and picks and all that stuff. There are some wild pairings today. So the USGA really created some incredible visual pairings. So the first one I want to talk about is I'm calling it the age gap group. Okay, there's a 54-year-old named Padraig Harrington. He's the oldest in the field, and then he is paired with the 17-year-old phenom Miles Russell, who has Charlie Woods, aka Tiger Woods' son, caddying for him. Except he's not caddying today. So that's a crazy age gap, okay, between a 54-year-old and a 17-year-old. So that'll be fun to watch, obviously. And then there's another group, which is, I'm calling it the U.S. Amateur Champions Super Group. So you got Bryson DeChambeau, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Victor Hovland. All were U.S. Amateur Champions. All were superstars back when they were amateurs. And obviously now they're superstars as pros. So, now we got to get to the betting section, okay? It's time to talk about it. And here are some guys that I really want you to stay away from, okay? Some fades and missed cut landmines, okay? First guy that I want you to stay away from is Jon Rahm, okay? I don't love how he's playing golf right now. He hasn't logged a top 5 finish in a U.S. Open since his 2021 victory, and I just don't see him playing well, okay? I don't see him performing at Shinnecock, so I would stay far away from him, from Jon Rahm. Now we get to Brooks Koepka, and we just talked about Brooks Koepka, how he won back at Shinnecock in 2018, but I don't see it. One, he has a nagging hand injury, so I would watch him as a missed cut candidate. He's just had this hand injury, and he had to withdraw from the Canadian Open, and it's just, Shinnecock is not the place to be dealing with injuries, and especially with a compromised hand. If you have to dig that ball out of the rough, it's going to hurt and lead to more misses. So I would watch out for Brooks Koepka, as he might withdraw, but as a missed cut candidate. And now our last missed cut candidate is Bryson DeChambeau. And I know people love Bryson DeChambeau. He's the YouTube golf whatever. And I like Bryson DeChambeau. I like how he's remade his whole image. But he's just not been playing well in majors recently. And look, with Live Golf kind of imploding, it's not a good look for him, since he was one of the big-time names that left the PGA to go to Live. He is just not in a good headspace right now, I don't think. Now, obviously, his YouTube channel skyrocketing, and I saw the quote the other day that he is strongly considering quitting professional golf to only focus on YouTube golf. Go do it, whatever. That's a story for another day. Listen, I love YouTube golf. Some would say I am a YouTube golfer. I'm not a good one, but y'all know I do golf videos. But he just isn't in a good headspace right now to make a run at the U.S. Open, and he's a player. Look, he doesn't have as great of consistency with his drives. We know this. He likes to hit the ball far, but sometimes those balls they'll fade. They'll go everywhere. And here at Shinnecock, you cannot do that. At Shinnecock, that will kill you. So I would just stay far away from Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, he missed the cut at both the Masters and the PGA Championship. So just watch out for him, okay? Especially with 40-mile-an-hour crosswinds at Shinnecock. Insane. All right, now let's get to the good side of the betting. Here are the people that I would 100% maybe place some money on. Maybe not 100%, but I would definitely watch out for and maybe throw some money on them, okay? First, and I'm going to go with my outright winner pick right off the bat, okay? At 40-1 odds, I am picking Russell Henley. That is right. All right, Russell Henley, he is arguably the ultimate U.S. Open grinder. I mean, let's see. Here's a good stat for you. He leads the PGA Tour in driving accuracy and possesses a pristine short game. That is from CBS Sports. Okay? That is golden at Shinnecock. You just have to get the ball in the fairway. That's not true. You don't just have to get the ball in the fairway, but you get the ball in the fairway at Shinnecock, that gives you a chance to make par. Okay? And you're playing for par. You're not birdies. If they happen, they happen, but it's a rarity at Shinnecock. And his precision will allow him to stay in the field, especially as some of the rest of the field starts to collapse. So my outright winner pick is Russell Henley. He's been playing really good golf recently. Russell Henley's my outright winner pick. All right, here's a pick for some top 5 value maybe. Give me Tommy Fleetwood, standing at 22-1 odds. I really like him. He's been playing really well recently. He shot a 63 at Shinnecock back in 2018, and he's just been playing solid golf recently. I like him I don't like him winning, but I like a top 5 value for Tommy Fleetwood. And we already talked about it. The long shot, my dark horse, Patrick Reed. All right, he's got back-to-back top 12 major finishes. I don't like the guy, but Patrick Reed this weekend could make some headlines, and he's standing at 46-1 odds. So not bad odds right there for the man named Patrick Reed. So I like what I'm seeing, so I'll go again. Outright winner pick, Russell Henley. Top 5 value pick, Tommy Fleetwood. And my dark horse / long shot, Patrick Reed. Not a bad list right there. All right. As we get through this episode, there's one more kind of final big-time headline that I want to talk about, and that guy is Miles Russell. Okay, we talked a little bit about him in the age gap pairing, but this kid is 17 years old. Okay, he's a Florida State commit. He is the youngest player in the U.S. Open field, and his lead up to Shinnecock has kind of been legendary. Okay, this kid is a stud. All right, he is a stud through and through. He is a wonderful player, and he had kind of a viral qualifier. I mean, he survived a brutal 38-hole marathon during golf's longest day, which, if you don't know, is the final qualifying. And his caddy for all 38 holes was none other than his best friend and future FSU teammate, Charlie Woods. And if you don't know who Charlie Woods is, you're probably living under a rock. That is Tiger Woods' son. And Tiger Woods, if you don't know who Tiger Woods is, you should probably stop watching the video right now. Anyway, fans have been wanting to see if Charlie Woods was going to be on the bag this week at the U.S. Open, and he's not. Which some fans were a little like, come on, you're not going to let him caddy for you at the U.S. Open? And I get why Russell said no, because he made a very mature business decision, okay? He subbed Charlie out for his swing coach, by the name of Ramon Bescanza. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. But he subbed out Charlie for his swing coach, and this is really good because his swing coach actually caddied for Russell Knox back at Shinnecock Hills during the 2018 U.S. Open, which Russell Knox actually finished tied for 12 back at the 2018 U.S. Open at Shinnecock. And so, obviously, Miles Russell made a smart choice choosing his swing coach because now his swing coach knows this course very well and can maybe guide him to making some very valuable decisions down the line. And I really like Miles Russell this week, so we're going to get to what we think of him, but he's also been famous for this quote. He went viral for this quote that I'm going to read to you. He said, "You watch them play." He's talking about pros, okay? He says, "You watch them play, and you're like, man, this guy plays pretty boring. And at the end of the round, you're seeing the score, and he shoots like 65. It's just so kind of ho hum, and a lot of fairways and greens. It's nothing special." That's what Miles Russell says about pros playing golf. He says the pros play boring golf. So, to me, it's kind of hilarious, and it's an incredibly insightful look into how a teenager's brain works, all right? He kind of realizes that the elite professional golf isn't about hitting the hero shots. It's not about taking the gap in between the tree that's about that big. We all love a hero shot, but it doesn't work. He's realized that professional golf is about avoiding mistakes, all right? And that's the exact recipe to win at Shinnecock. I'm not saying he's going to win, but it will survive Shinnecock. And it's a very mature mindset for a 17-year-old kid. And I really like where he's going right now. Here's some crazy bio stats for the kid, all right? A lot of people have been connecting him to Tiger Woods, okay? And here's why, okay? So at age 15, Miles Russell became the youngest AJGA Rolex Junior Player of the Year. Okay, that's a mouthful, I know. He broke a record previously held by Tiger Woods. So that's why a lot of people are comparing him to Tiger Woods. I think that's a bit of he needs a bit of a reality check for that. We'll see. Maybe he's the next coming of Tiger Woods. Who knows? But he's also a history maker, okay? In 2024, he became the youngest player to ever make the cut on a Korn Ferry Tour, and he even logged a top 25 finish. This guy's, like I said, this guy is a stud. He is a very good golfer. You don't need to worry about him playing good golf. He's very good. Here's a cool stat for you also. He has been legally driving a car for less than 2 years, but is sharing a driving range space with guys like Jordan Spieth. And he's playing his opening rounds with major champions Patrick Harrington and Cameron Smith. So this guy he's not even a year older than me. I'd like to point this out. And he's playing at Shinnecock with those guys. I mean, what am I doing with my life? All right, Miles Russell is an awesome story, but he's barely a year older than me, and he's doing this. That doesn't make me mad, but I'm like, man, what could I have done? I'm kidding. I'm here with the Ivy Leaguers on the Ivy League Sports Show. That might be better than playing at Shinnecock. Maybe not. Anyway, love the Ivy Leaguers. Let's do it. All right, so here's my prediction for how Miles Russell is actually going to pan out. Okay? So obviously, historically, making the weekend at the U.S. Open at 17 is nearly impossible. Okay? It's rarely done. If he makes the cut, he will become only the second youngest player since World War II to make a U.S. Open cut. He's only behind Bo Hostler in 2012. And given his coach's local book of notes on Shinnecock's brutal runoff areas and whatnot, I think he is a highly live dog to stick around for the weekend. I think he makes the cut. I think this underdog story, I think he makes the cut. I don't know if he bursts into the top 20 or the top 10 or anything like that. I don't know if he does that, but I think he makes the cut. And I think he kind of puts the world on notice and says, I'm here, guys. Okay? Miles Russell is a cool story. And like I said, he's barely a year older than me, which, is what it is for me. But cool story. I think he makes the cut. That is all I have for you today. That's about our time. A fun episode. Obviously, I'm going to keep you updated on what Shinnecock does as the weekend goes on. So make sure you stay on the Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, all that good stuff. Make sure you keep watching. Until next time, Ivy Leaguers, this is Ivy Taylor signing off. I wish I was at Shinnecock playing with a guy that's barely a year older than me, but we are here live on the air. Until next time, Ivy Leaguers, this is Ivy Taylor signing off. Good night.